Okay, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to the third and for this semester final library lunchtime lecture. Our speaker today, Uğur Ayfer, will deliver a talk entitled Surviving the Hostile Internet. Before we start, I would like to remind you all, please, could you keep your cell phones either switched off or on silent mode so they do not interrupt the recording of the lecture. Uğur Ayfer is, I'm sure, known to most, if not all of you, from Bilkent, perhaps most famously by his username ID Jaifer. And for many of us, he is the last port of call when we have problems with our computers and so on, and I've used him on more than one occasion myself. Uğur, what do? I say, and send him a mail. He is a graduate from Middle East Technical University, METU. He read electrical engineering for his bachelor's degree and then moved on to computer engineering for his master's, MSc. The title of his master's is Continuous System Simulation, Mathematical Modeling of Continuous Physical Systems. And I hope you understood that. I wasn't so clear about it myself, but it's obviously quite technical and very good. He worked for about 15 years in the private sector and had a part share in a computing company called Best Co. Limited. And then in 1997, he joined Bilkent. He is the assistant director of the Bilkent Computing Center, BCC, and also an instructor in the Computing Technology and Programming Department. He has published 7 books on computing, and we have them all displayed upstairs, and his most recent book was co-authored with his eldest son, Ömer. Apparently, in his younger days, he was an avid flyer of single-engine aircraft, but I'm glad he walked here today and didn't take any dangerous means to arrive for the talk. The talk, as we said, Surviving the Hostile Internet, is obviously of interest to all of us. It seems to me that you cannot open an email or go to the internet now without being worried about clicking on a dodgy link and finding yourself putting your computer in danger. I have written down 2 questions here, or 2 questions, which I'm not expecting Uğur to answer. Firstly, I would like to find out why I keep receiving emails from the relatives of deceased West African dictators. And secondly, and for the younger people here, you may not get the reference, but I'm wondering what the connection is between email spam and the famous spam sketch by the 1970s British Monty Python comedy series. Uğur may, I think, answer the first of my questions, but he says he won't address the second one today. Okay, without any further ado, I shall pass you over to him.
Is it any good? Thank you for coming, and good afternoon for you all. Well, I'll be starting about the survival guide on the internet these days. And everybody's talking about, or everybody's expecting here, presumably, to get a hold of the secrets of being safe on the internet. Are you here to learn about these secrets?
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry you will be disappointed, because if I knew that secret, I won't be addressing you here, but instead I will be sitting here with my wife, Reyhan. So, frankly speaking, there's no secret, at least there's no secret I know about surviving the internet these days or in the future or in the past. But I have to say say a few things about these because David asked me to do so. So let's start with the very basic terminology. Well, what I call all sorts of dangerous things happening on the internet as malware. Malicious software. They are intended to do something unfavorable to the users, to the computers, to the network, whatever. So the malware are actually software, nothing else. It's no different than any other software. The only thing related to malware is that it does things that you normally wouldn't like it to do. The most popular type of malware are the viruses. We had a discussion whether I should say viri or viruses, but of course David won, and now I will be pronouncing the word as viruses. Actually, there's no word like viri. It's not typical Latin plural, right? Okay, so the viruses. And there are worms. I'll talk about the differences in a few moments. These probably you have heard a lot of times. And they are Trojans. Germans, if I were in a German teaching university, I would say Trojans, right? Trojans. And Trojans have different varieties, like keyloggers, browser hijackers, and botnets. I'll talk about what these sort of technical terms mean in a few moments. But why do people write software that does unfavorable things? What's the idea behind of that highly technical and highly sophisticated work? Mostly, people believe that if you can write a virus or worm software, you are a very good programmer. Not everybody can do that. For instance, I can't do that. I don't have the technical background to write a virus or worm software. So one reason must be to prove the people around them that they can do it. And the second force behind this I have observed in my professional life is that they want to teach other people how certain things should be properly done. And of course, I won't mention any specific software vendor name here, but it is trivial which company they are addressing. I have heard about a lot of people writing virus or worm software to bring down the company that they were fired from, or some university they were fired from. And that they should go probably under the title psychotic reasons. And these days, or for the last few years, maybe 4 or 5 years, people have started doing this for real profit. They make real good money out of it. Not good money, but a lot of money. Well, people think that viruses are a different kind of software. No, they are not any different. It is written in exactly the same way your web processor is written. It's written with the same techniques and with the same tools that a scientific computation program has been written. So there's actually a category of viruses. And no virus program has any indication on it somehow placed in the file that it is a virus. So you cannot know whether a program is a virus or not until you run it and see what it happens, or see what it does. For a virus to infect a computer, by the way, I don't know who used the term virus for malicious software in the first place, but whoever it was, that was a perfect, wonderful analogy with the biological virus. Everything which is valid for a biological virus is also valid for a software virus. Believe it or not, this includes the DNA. How do different biological or living beings differ from each other? By their DNA. What is DNA made of? Only four different proteins, right? I'm not sure, 4 or 6? 4. What is a virus made? How do software viruses differ from each other? The code they carry inside them. So what is that code made of? Zeros and ones. That's it. So that analogy is perfect. For a virus to infect a computer, the user is required to do something. It won't infect a computer unless the user boots from an infected CD, or modern computers can boot from USB memory sticks. I had the word floppy here, but Rayan told me take it out because we don't use floppies anymore, which is correct. So if unintentionally you forget a CD in your tray, you turn your computer off. Next morning you come in, you turn it on, and if the computer is set up so that it tries to boot from the CD first, and if the CD contains any infected programs on it, then voila, your computer is infected. Another action is opening email attachments. Everybody must have received an email with the subject, "Look how cute they are." And in the first look, the mail contains pictures of kitties. And then you want to see more of these kitties, and you click something which is identical to running a software. Clicking a certain link might end up with running a software. And okay, that is the user action they required for you to do. Or you receive a very cool screensaver somewhere from one of your friends. And you try to install it. Geçmiş olsun. Well, I'll talk about very little history because I have a cute thing to show you, and I'll send it to anybody who wants for the cute. Acting weird. It's very hard to describe what I mean by weird, but I mean, we will know when it starts acting weird. Sometimes, actually, the billiard ball virus was the first virus I saw in my life. Before the Windows days, those were the MS-DOS days when you had only 24 lines and 80 columns on a screen. And suddenly, sometimes a letter O appeared and started flying through the screen as if the screen was a billiard board. When it bounced from an edge, physics laws were implemented. I mean, it doesn't randomly walk around the screen. And the second one I saw was the following characters. I have a copy of it. Actually, I owe it to one of our students. I was talking about this old virus to him, and he found an animation of that virus, and I'm going to show it in a minute. And I have seen viruses, suddenly something pops up and asks you a quick quiz question. How much is 23 times 655? And if you don't provide the correct answer in 15 seconds, something happens. That something is something the programmer has to decide. He can just turn your machine off, he can erase your disk, or he can just keep on going, I mean, without doing any harm. Okay, this is I'm afraid you can't get the feeling, but when we had this thing, actually the letters are falling down and making a heap at the bottom of the screen. And you had to wait till all the letters fell down, made a heap, and then you could continue as if nothing has happened. And the same thing would happen in 5 minutes or 5 hours, it's random. It was cute at that time. Then we started having worms. Once it infects a computer, the action a worm does is no different than an action virus does. The difference between a virus and a worm is the method or technique that they spread from one computer to another. The bad thing with worms is that user does not need to do anything for the worm to infect the computer. That's very dangerous. I mean, you are a very careful user. You don't click this and that. You don't install software, but somehow the worm gets control of your computer. And worms infect and spread using vulnerabilities on operating systems and various popular software. The world experienced, it was about 6 years ago, I guess. What was the name of that thing that hit MS SQL servers? What was the name of the worm? Do you remember that? Anyway, there was a worm which appeared about 6 years ago, and it really brought the internet to a stop. Almost whole of the world stopped. Sorry? No, I don't think it was I love you. I don't mean that I don't love you, but I don't remember the name actually, but practically everything stopped. And it took hours, sometimes days, in some countries days to clear up the thing. What they did was they used the bugs and the security deficiencies of various application programs, not necessarily operating systems. What they do is they send a packet to a computer and expect the computer should do something wrong when trying to interpret that packet. And that's how they usually spread. Okay, they can, and they did practically bring the whole internet down. By the way, Bilkent was not hurt with this because we were lucky that Australian universities were hit first, and then we knew what was going to happen, and so we put certain rules on our firewall to stop that malicious packets coming in. That's how we were saved, sort of a coincidence. If we didn't read about things happening in Australia, because they start the day before we do, then maybe we would get hit as well. But we were once hit during university registrations, and we had to shut down the whole university except the sports hall and the BCC servers for a whole complete day because we were registering the new students coming to the university, and we were hit by a worm, and the only thing we could do was unplug cables. Trojans are the same category. They are also malicious software, but they come usually as an attachment to an application program which seems to be doing something useful. Sometimes it really does something useful, but in order to benefit from that useful feature of that program, whatever it is, you have to accept the strings attached to it. And unfortunately, this is the most dangerous one. They send you a cool screensaver. You install it, it is a cool screensaver. At every 10 minutes, it shows you beautiful pictures from the Hawaiian Islands, Caribbean Islands, or pieces of art, anything you can imagine. Or when you start and run it, it finds free movies for you. It says, wait a few seconds. You wait for a few seconds, then it gives you a list of free movies that you really would like to watch. Or they claim that they can crack the password you used when you were crypting your Word document and then later forgot what the password is or password was, and then you are hopeless. You go through the internet, you find a program which claims to be cracking software passwords on Word documents, and it's free, and you download it, you use it, it really cracks, and it reminds you about your forgotten software, but the strings are playing on the background now. Now, once they make you install a program on your computer with something attached to it, the worst thing you can get is a keylogger. Keylogger is a program which records every key you press on your computer and send these key sequences to some email address that you never heard about every 10 minutes, every 100 keys, whatever their criteria is. That means any password you type, any user ID you type is sent to someone. There are also mouse loggers. Remember, some banks used to have a keypad on the screen that you had to hit with the mouse rather than typing the keyboard. They were thinking that they were doing something safe. They could go around the keyloggers. Yes, they walk around the keyloggers, but they are caught by the mouse loggers. This is an email we stopped, which was trying to go out of Bilkent on, I guess it was on Friday. This is one sample. I didn't touch anything except changing the IP addresses and the user IDs, those parts in yellow, to protect the innocent. Otherwise, I didn't touch it. As you can see here, the person typed www.gmail, and then for some reason the person hit backspace twice. This is logging. It includes the backspace and delete keys you press. And then typed O for some reason, then backspaced it again, il.com, and etc., etc. If about half an hour ago I saw this message, there was a message which disclosed Yapı Kredi Bankası accounts and the password. And I called the person, and I asked that person whether her bank ID was this and password was this. She said, "Who are you?" So this is very serious. And you don't even feel anything. While these are happening on the background, your computer does not act weird. You don't sense it, you don't feel it. It's not slowing anymore, it's not slowing down, it's not displaying anything on the screen. It's just silently sitting in the background, recording every key you press, and then sending every 100 keys or whatever, every 10 minutes, an email what you have done. Another very dangerous thing these Trojans can do is hijack your browser. Now you go and type www.yourbank.com, you hit the enter key, and suddenly the page of your bank appears. Everything's okay. But if your computer is hijacked or your browser is hijacked by a worm or Trojan, the page you are seeing is a replica of your bank's page. It's not your bank's page. Normally, when you type a symbolic name for your bank, it has to be mapped to an IP address, which is unique to that bank or site. These are called DNS domain name services. For those people who remember how to set up TCP/IP on their computer, one of the important parameters you have to enter is the DNS server name or DNS server IP. What you do is, when you type this address, your browser goes to a DNS protocol blah blah and tries to resolve that symbolic name into a numerical IP address. And to do that, it contacts the computer that you have specified as the DNS server. Now, if somebody browses hijacks your browser, what they do is they change the server's IP address that your computer is going to negotiate to resolve a symbolic name into a numerical IP address. That way, although the real IP address for Garanti.com.tr is 194 something, your hijacked computer will resolve the numerically boxed computer. And they can show you whatever they like once you go there. Okay, a quick quiz. How long does it take to make a fake replica of Garanti Bank's website? Any suggestions? 2 minutes? What, 2? 2 minutes. You are very slow. Only 2 mouse clicks. File, save as. That's it. And you have the whole Garanti Bankası images and the whole page. It's the HTML code and the pictures behind that page are now sitting on your own computer and do whatever you like. Well, there are hoaxes. Well, I don't know why they always pick these 2 companies. Probably it's because they have never done joint before, but maybe that's the reason. You occasionally receive something like this. They want you to do something stupid, which is not useful to anybody. For instance, there's another version which says if you send 1,000 copies of this email to your friends, some billionaire in Taiwan is going to pay the cost of the cure for a cancer for a girl in some place. That's stupid. I mean, if there were some rich guy want to do that, why would he want me to send a mail? And suppose he does, how would he know that I send a mail? These are harmless, actually. They only ziyan etmek neydi? Waste electrons, nothing else. Phishing. I still don't know why it is spelled with PH. The meaning is the regular fishing, catching a fish. Türkçedeki sazan avlama. Well, today there was another wave that we had at Bilkent. They want my password. Or they will close my account, they will do something, they will do this and that. We are receiving a lot of these, and the number of people responding to these is getting lower and lower every day, thankfully. On the last wave, we had only 1 person trying to reply to these. I don't know what's going to happen for the wave that we get today. And people want us to warn people. And why should I warn a people, warn somebody who responds, or, I mean, you get a mail, give me your password, my name is a stupid name, the email address has nothing to do with Bilkent, the reply address has nothing to do with Bilkent, and why would I, hakaret neydi? Insult people by sending them warnings about this? This is so trivial. Well, why would someone care about your date of birth to keep your email address or not? Okay, this is another real example. The from address is Bilkent webmail support at bilkent.edu.tr. Yeah, that looks interesting. But the reply address is stupid. So when you click the reply button, you see a stupid address up there. By the way, the email protocol is the worst protocol as far as security concerned on the internet. The internet was first established on mutual trust, and people were not expecting that much fraud on the network at the first place. So the protocols developed in the past usually trust the other party when communicating a certain message transfer. So the weakest one is email. And you do not have to be a genius to send an email to your friend which will appear from Michael Jackson, Obama, anybody. You only need to change the from setting on your email client. There's nothing checking it against some other real account. So it's terrible. But that's the way it is. Sometimes you hit the jackpot. Well, if they were talking about $2,000, that would make more sense. I mean, they could catch more fish with that. But they always offer you millions of dollars or pounds. And the reason they call this action Nigerian scam, the word Nigerian scam, the phrase Nigerian scam has got its place in the literature now. Probably it will appear in dictionaries soon. Because for some reason it started from relatives of Nigerian presidents. I don't know why and how it happened. If you have some time, please note this site, www.419ether.com, and spend here a few hours. The 419 means that is a law number in the Nigerian law system. I don't know what it says, but it is a number of a certain law that prohibits something probably. And it is really fun. Well, I tried to communicate one of these persons, and we actually sent email, 3 or 4 email back and forth, and suddenly the email address on the other side disappeared. It was a Gmail address. But I now know that they are not as bright as they look. They are really idiots, and you can make a lot of fun with them. And actually, this site is a collection of things done for fun with these people. There are script kiddies. Now, it's very easy to become a member of an underground community. On the web, you just make a few Google searches and then fill out a form on your browser and you suddenly become a member. Of course, going into very deep underground may not be that easy, but so once, what was that? But once these people become members of these underground communities, then they are provided with a collection of strange software that tries to crack passwords, tries to check whether a computer is configured safe enough or not. And they start running these computers and trying to do expecting something to happen. They don't know what's going on. They just run a program and wait something interesting to see. And I need to make a difference. A lot of people make the mistake of calling people who do bad things on the network or computers hackers. No, hackers are good guys. Hackers are those people who can handle electronic devices and software very professionally and practically to make very good use of it. If a hacker finds a vulnerability on a software, he or she reports the problem to the author. They don't make use of it. The crackers are the bad guys. They crack into computers, they crack code so that they can do something, they can get your money, get your password, whatever. So after this small parentheses, I want to mention an observation that we have at Bilkent. Every academic year, the first few weeks, we are chasing script kiddies. They bring their computer into the dormitories, and they immediately start running those scripts to find some vulnerability around the university. It is very similar to going into a parking lot and trying to checking the door of every car parked there, or in getting any apartment complex and checking every door whether it is open. And they don't know what to do if they happen to find an open car. Probably nothing, because they don't know how to drive, they don't know how to sit, whatever. But these cracker wannabes, as we call them, always do the same thing for many years for the first few weeks. And once they learn that on the internet they can't stay anonymous and somebody is watching and they get caught, they usually stop it. Now, these virus worm authors realize that it is very simple for them to get full control of other people's computers by somehow making them run a program or using a worm so that they can start the program automatically in somebody else's computer. Instead of bringing that computer to a halt or bringing Bilkent University network to a halt, well, why do that? What good is it for them? No good. So instead, they decided they make zombies out of our computers so that they can use that zombie. Zombie is, for those people who don't know what it means, it is something dead, but not fully dead. It can stand and move around, but it obeys the rules of the, who is the person commanding zombies? Anyway, they are living deads or dead livers. No. Living deads. First of all, they can make money. The simplest way to make money is using somebody else's computer to send out spam email and get paid for this. Well, why don't they use their own computers? Because if they use their own computer to send out spam, network administrators like myself will put filters against those computers. Because imagine a computer sending millions of email every day and people don't like it, so what they do is they just block incoming traffic from that IP address. So they can't do it anymore. They don't want this. But if when they start using zombies, that means we have to put filters for about zombies, or botnets as the technical term, robot network. They have millions of computers at their disposal all around the world, and there's no way we can pick every single one of them and put filters. So that's why they use zombies. Once they have a program running in your computer, that means they have access to the cache pages that were filled out when you were browsing the net. For instance, when you log on to your bank account, that page is saved on your local disk temporarily, and everything you enter to that page is already there. So if they are capable of running some software there, they will pick your password and bank account IDs and similarly credit card information from that computer. What spammers need are real IP addresses. They want to send an email, but they want it to reach someplace. So what is the best source for picking up real, genuine email addresses? Email boxes of people that they have on their computers. All the from addresses are correct. 99% of the to addresses are also correct. So that's a very good source for reliable, real IP addresses. So now once they get into your computer, that means once they have a software running on your computer somehow, They can also organize denial of service attacks. Now, suppose a botnet, a robot network, has 2 million subscribers, 2 million computers around the world that are waiting command from another computer in some place. What these people do is especially they attack the gambling sites, pornographic sites, successful pornographic and gambler sites. They go to the gambler's site's owner and they say, if you don't pay $10 million, this is not, I mean, millions of dollars are the real figures mentioned in this business. In 15 minutes, your site will be killed. If you don't believe it, just wait 15 minutes. And 15 minutes later, somebody hits an enter key somewhere, and 2 million computers around the world start sending packets to this gambling site. And no server can handle this. No way. And the system crashes. Say, see, now the price is $15 million. And these are done. This is what people are having around the world. Now, how bad is the situation at Bilkent? Bad. At any time, we have 5 to 8 zombies in campus. What we do is when we somehow detect these, we block their internet access. For those IP addresses that we know the owner, we contact them. Or if we don't contact them, they contact us in latest next morning. And we tell them that their computer is compromised and doing such and such bad thing. Somehow they have to get it fixed. But it is really serious. Now, while I was putting this table in this morning, oops, the first 34,000 is, this had to be 2,000, sorry about that. I was just playing around, but I forgot to change it. When I first started preparing this table, the number of unauthorized email attempts from Bilkent was in something 1,800 something. That was at the time when I was inserting the table. When I was inserting the number, it was already higher than 2,000. And on December 1st, we had 1 million. But that 1 million figure points that somebody was using 1 or 2 computers to send out spam. But the other figures, in the order of few thousands, those are keyloggers or mouse loggers. All the actions, all the keys typed by users were being sent out. And they tried 3,000 times. If it's going to suit you a little, these email couldn't get out. We are blocking these. Because we are blocking, we only permit a very few computers in Bilkent network to send out email. But if these are notebooks, laptops, and they are going to be hooked to a network outside Bilkent during the night time when they go home, when they hook the network, hook the computer to ADSL, then those messages will be delivered. So, I told you, if I knew it, I wouldn't be standing up here. But I can tell you what not to do. Oops. 10 more minutes. Well, that certainly will be a cure for this. And if you have to use a computer, try not to connecting to the network. If you are going to put it on a network, keep it small scale. The real threat starts when you hook it to the internet. Now, of course, a good idea is not to use a bad software. So who knows what a bad software is? I know. I won't tell you. Well, I've seen that people are trying to upgrade to the newest version of every software. Don't do that. New versions usually bring in more problems, more bugs, more errors. If you really don't need it, don't upgrade it. Just for the sake of using a newer software, don't do it. At one point, you will have to do it because you will need a feature in the new software, then do it. By that time, most probably those bugs will be eliminated and you will have version. My principle is I never use version 1.0. Just wait till it becomes 1.3 or something like that. Software vendors are pushing their products too early to the market these days. The market is very, very harsh, and they need to get into the market as soon as possible. So they usually leave the testing phase to the commercial users around. So don't become a tester. I never use antivirus software. They are absolutely useless. Believe me, because how do they know that a certain thing is a virus? There is no tag on it that says it's virus. It's trying to figure out certain signatures or patterns that resemble viruses this program knows, and they can only detect viruses that they already know about. The problem is not with old viruses. The problem is with new viruses. So if viruses were any good, we wouldn't have that problem because viruses are around for 30 years now. Another risk with antivirus is that people install antivirus on their computers and then they start clicking and opening every file, clicking every link because they already have antivirus. They are protected. They are safe. What I have seen in my professional life is that, ladies get a piece of cloth and take the dust off this place. They look at it. It's clean. So they bring out a spray and unclean it again. Now they see the dirt and they feel happy. Antivirus softwares are like that. They tell you that an email is infected. You don't need it to tell it to you. It's so obvious. But you feel comfortable and you feel okay for the money, $39.99 you paid for the antivirus software. But using a firewall program is something I strongly recommend. Because firewall programs are protecting your computer against worms. That means those malicious software that get installed into your computer without you doing something. You just sit there, your computer is properly configured, but somehow the worms get in. Firewalls will, not 100%, but will protect your computer to a very good scale. Of course, what people should do is they install the firewall and suddenly the firewall program starts popping up messages. Should I allow this? Should I allow this? This is happening. Should I allow this? And if you are going to hit yes, yes, yes to all of those, then don't even bother installing software and consume memory. You have to read the message. If you don't understand what it says, click no. Don't give permissions for things that you are not sure about. So where can you get a real and good firewall? The firewall on the Windows operating systems is a joke. Don't use them. Instead, you can visit www.zonelabs.com, find the free version. It is hidden, frankly speaking. They don't want you to find it very quickly. You can download this. That's a very good program, and it's free. And of course, only Windows users are invited here. Linux and Mac users can go elsewhere. If someday you receive a program which offers you something you normally wouldn't have the right to do, don't do it. There is certainly a trap. Especially these days, the download programs are causing this trouble. Recently, the keylogger thing that, remember, I showed you a few moments ago, an email message which contained a Gmail account and its password, and that wave came in to a certain part of our university with a program called LimeWire. Somebody found about this program, mentioned this to other people, and hey, there's a program, we can use it and download all the newest movies. The moment the movie is available in the States or Europe, the next morning you start downloading it with high definition quality. And people started using this. And they never think that why do these BitTorrent people or LimeWire people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars so that you can watch movies for free? They don't think about it. What people are doing is they see a link which reads Garanti Bankası and they hit it. No, that's what the part of the link that you read is Garanti Bankası. What about the real link behind that? It is very easy to trick people to click links using email. So you might one day receive an email from your bank which is offering loans at 0.5% rate, or a new service for paying your bills for free or whatever. Don't hit that link. It's very easy for somebody to fake your bank and send an email which seems to be coming from Garanti Bankası, and the link could read Garanti Bankası, but when you click, you might go to somewhere else, which might look like Garanti Bankası as well. So while doing banking, type in the address manually. Don't tell anybody or send anybody your password. If your bank is really asking for your password, then quit that bank. At BCC, we'll never ask for your software passwords. We already know them. Joking, we don't know your passwords, but we don't need your passwords to get into your accounts, by the way. The passwords are kept in encrypted files. We cannot decrypt them, but we don't need your passwords to see what you are keeping in your home directory. Using credit cards on the network for buying things is very dangerous. I strongly recommend that you use the one-shot credit card that most banks offer, so that even if that is stolen, you won't lose anything. Or if you lose a few pounds or a few dollars, that's all. Don't use your regular card. I know that Amazon is a very good company, but they have hundreds, probably thousands of people working for them, and one of them could be a crook. Well, you have to follow the literature, but actually I can save your time. If you follow the literature, they will say don't use Internet Explorer, don't use Outlook, buy more software, spend more money, scan your files and disks every day, so that means 1 hour extra work every day, and reformat every 2 weeks. Okay, and this is the cost of using a computer. No, this is not normal. This is not the cost of using computer. The computer should not be using me. I should be using the computer. And if your car, if needed the attention that your computer needs now, you got rid of it. That's my very sincere advice. I know it's not the same. I know there are certain things that you cannot do on Linux compared to Windows, but knowing that there are more things Windows users cannot do is another issue. Will you be safe if you use a Linux or a Mac? No. As long as a computer is hooked to a network, it is not safe. All these software are written by people, and all of these software contain bugs and mistakes in them. So somebody can exploit them someday. But certainly it is much simpler. I get a few minutes more if you don't mind. Without the spam, this talk would have been incomplete, of course. Now, it is estimated that around 1.2 billion emails users are around these days, and 2 billion active mailboxes, because some people have more than one email addresses, like myself. I have the webmaster, the hotline, and things like that. And it's estimated that 210 billion emails are circulating around the world each day. And unbelievable, but 75% of which is spam. Only 56% can be filtered out. That means in the order of 60 to 70 billion spam mails are wandering around freely and reach destinations. And the strange thing is that the spam that people are using to try to sell things, their success ratio is extremely low, but they still use it because it's very cheap. And these are the references that I got these figures from. They are very recent studies. The spammers buy email addresses. You can buy in the market millions of email addresses. Some are categorized in age, some are categorized in sex, some are categorized in interests. And the price, of course, depends on how categorized the databases are. And they have robot programs, just like Google's or search engine programs, that walk around the web, checking every single web page for an email address. And they walk around inboxes once they get into your computer. And the rumor is that the price for sending out spam these days is $80 for each million email they send. I don't know. When you go through the calculations with this $80 thing, it doesn't look very profitable, but I don't know whether this is correct or not. Well, there's no way to stop spam. And we are doing our best at BCC to filter out spam, but if we tighten our filters too much, then serious mail get caught. If we lose it a little, then the number of spam is increasing. Well, it's a continuous fight among spammers and network administrators. And I'm sure that someday spam will be eliminated. But we have to wait, I'm afraid. Okay, thank you for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uğur. I'm a little bit worried. This week I've done internet banking with Guarantee Banker, and I ordered some stuff on Amazon, so I'm going to leave straight away. No, we don't have any time for questions. I again would like to thank Uğur for his talk on your behalf. Quickly, I would like to thank the library staff who worked on these lectures this semester, all classes, Teaching and Tarek, and also I'd like to thank Özcan Bey for doing the videos. Next semester we have an archaeologist, an electrical engineer and a musician. So I hope to see you all there for our 3 lectures then. Otherwise, iyi bayramlar and a happy new year to you all.
Thank you, David.
You've made me more worried than I was before, though. I realised